Alright, let's do some hacking on datarequests.org. I've picked out this issue for us to work on today, number 289. We want to add another option to the mail down dropdown. I'll just quickly show you what this is about. So if you were to go into the generator and send a request, I don't know, let's choose Google for example. You enter your details here. We're using Google, of course, that's why we're sending a request to them. And if you were to select fax or letter as the transport medium, it would offer you to download a PDF, which works exactly the way you'd expect it to. But if you want to send an email instead, you get the option of using either your default email software, which as you can see at the bottom is using a mail to link, and that opens in your default email software, or you can also use Google Mail and Yahoo Mail, which if you were to click that would direct you to those websites with the text already pre-filled in. Today what I want to do is add another option here that would basically open up a little modal where you can where you are shown the subject, the recipient, and the generated text, and you can then copy that for yourself. So that's what we're going to work on today. I've already set up my working environment, and the relevant code is in the file called mail to dropdown, and you can see we are defining a set of handlers here, and these are the exact same handlers we saw in the actual dropdown. So we have the mail to handler, we have the Gmail handler, and a Yahoo handler for now. We might add more webmailers in the future. I would really like to do that, but so far these two are the only ones for which I've found working URL schemes. I've also tried Outlook, but as you can see, this doesn't actually work. My guess is that the body we are appending here is too long, and if you click the link that is generated by this, Outlook throws an error if I remember correctly, so that's why this is commented out for now. And as you can see, so far we have the option of specifying a set of countries that the handler applies to. The idea is there's often certain webmailers that are popular in a specific country only. So for example, in Germany, GMX and WebDE are popular examples. These aren't really a thing in other countries, so it wouldn't make sense to show them to all users. If we had a handler for GMX, for example, we could specify that this would only apply to users from Germany, Austria, and Switzerland, for example. Right now we aren't using that, as you can see, but that is a feature that is already supported. And all these handlers currently are using a link, so even the mail to is an actual link. We would have to probably add another option instead of providing a link to provide an on-click handler, because I don't really see how we would trigger the modal I was thinking of from a link. So let's quickly sketch this out. For now, I'll add we'll add a new handler at the bottom. I think that is a good choice. Let's call that copy manually. We aren't going to provide a link, and this also applies to all countries. So let us introduce a new option, which would be an on-click, and we would provide a function. Okay, so the link is generated, isn't actually specified as a link here, but rather as a function that takes a data object with the email subject and body. We want to do the exact same thing for a handler, so we'll get this data object, and we'll pass that to our function. We'll have to see what we do with that. For the moment, let's just make this actual work. So I'll console log our data, and now we'll have a look. This is where our handlers are generated. So first of all, we go through our handlers and filter out those that don't apply to our country, so that's fine. Here we generate this data object, and this is where the actual handler buttons are generated. So we go through all our handlers, and for each of them we generate a link element where the href is the link we generated from this function we specified. So we'll have to see what happens if we don't have a link function. This might not work. So we'll have to probably handle that, but that's not a problem. You can see we already have an on-click callback here, which disables the link if we don't currently have a letter. You can see this small change has already broken our code. Let's see what happens. Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. We haven't specified a link, so that is undefined for our new handler, and undefined is not a function, so we can't call that. So what we're going to do is we'll simply say if we have a handler, then we're going to call that as a function, so we'll have to wait. Yeah, it isn't quite done yet. And it always takes a little while for the JS to compile. Okay, here we go. Loading to 0 failed. Okay, so I probably have an error in my code. No, I don't. That is most interesting. Okay. And if we click on this, nothing happens. So that's pretty much what we're expecting. Let's inspect the element, and we can see no href was generated. So that's exactly what I wanted, and for the other ones, the href is generated as previously. Okay, cool. So what I actually wanted to show you a second ago is when this condition is met. So when don't we have a ladder? That is mostly a thing for the PDFs. You can see it does take a second to generate. This time the button is disabled, you can't click it, and after the generation has actually happened, we re-enable the button. This isn't so much a problem for the emails because there isn't a whole ton of generation going on. There may also be some other cases. We are not going to worry about those because we are already handling this case. So we're going to extend our else block. We still need to handle the on success, but what we want to do is if there is a mail to handlers of our handler, and if that has on-click function, then we actually want to call that function with our data. So let's once again wait for the compile to happen. To be honest, I'm not really sure about this this error message, why the loading of the chunk is failing. Okay, so it disappeared, so that's probably just a weird artifact of a build pipeline. We're not going to worry about that right now. Hopefully it shouldn't take too much longer for the JS to be generated. Or maybe it's done already. Oh yeah, it is. Okay, cool. So we can see our console log is being called, and if we click one of the other links, they all still work. Awesome. So now we can go on to implementing the actual on-click handler, and we do have a modal class. Sorry, this one already implemented. The API on this one isn't exactly nice, so I'll go into a place where I know we're already using a modal. Now that's the internationalization widget. and I am going to steal the code from here. So let's see what we're doing. Okay, so first of all, we are checking in. Ooh, that's an interesting implementation. If we're already showing a modal, I don't think we need to handle that case. We need to construct a dismiss callback that allows us to actually dismiss the modal as you'd expect. Then, okay, so basically we will need this code. Paste that into our handler. Again, I'm not going to worry about that or that. The scope for our translations here, let me just check right quickly, is generator. We need to import modal. Let's see if VS Code can do that. Yes, it can. Awesome. And okay, so let's just set the text to hello world for now. We can provide both. Let me show you quickly. Wasn't a good idea to save, so that's what the modal looks like. This is what we call the positive button with a positive text, and this is the negative button. So in our case, we don't need a negative button, we only want an OK button that dismisses the modal, so let's implement that. Positive text is going to be text OK, and we're going to need to go into the translations. For now, I'll only do the English translation. I'll add the German translations later, and for all other languages, those are managed to Weblate. Okay, so we actually already have an OK string. That's cool. And on positive feedback, all we want to do is call our dismiss function. And we're not going to have... oops. I need to close the tag. Well, I don't need to close it. I just need to have the closing bracket. So, if we now wait for that to reload, what we should see happen is when we click on a new button which doesn't have a text yet, but we'll work on that in a second, is we should open... Oh no. That is probably from when I didn't have my... when I didn't have the closing bracket, so let's wait for the build to... Yeah, okay. So, if I click that now, I get this hello world modal, and I can dismiss that. I feel like there should be an option for me to include the close button. Let's see. Doesn't seem to be the case. So, oh no, I need to provide an on dismiss call, on dismiss prop. That's fine. Dismiss. Unfortunately, this means we're going to Prettier is going to break up our line, but that's fine. And let's see how the text for the handlers is done. Okay, so we are in... Oops, what did I do? We're in the mail to scope, and you can see we are simply using the key of our handlers for the translation. So my new key is copied manually. Let's think of a good description. Copy text manually. Let's go with that for now. Now that should have a text. And we don't need to test that, but we can look at how we want to actually structure a modal. So I think we want to have some kind of text. that explains what the user can do in this modal. So let's call that copy manually explanation. Whatever that was. And that needs to go into the generator context. That's this one. Here you can copy the subject, recipient, and text of your generated email manually. And then we probably want to do something. I'm trying to think of where we have a form like that already, or that we could use as a template. Let's see, maybe here. Okay, that could work, but I think having the labels in line with the form field is a little wasteful of space in this particular case. So yeah, we probably don't have a good reference for that. Just going to see how these are implemented. Oh, they are form groups, that's annoying. Oops. So what's the best way to do this for us? Really? Okay. So we're wrapping the whole thing in a form group. Let's just copy one of those and simplify that according to what we want to implement here. So, close the div. It's those input controls. I don't think they are what we want to use, because they are, yeah, those are specific to those fill your ID data things. So what we want to do instead is just have our own input, which can be a lot simpler. Still going to copy that as a template. Okay, so we're not going to have those columns. Our first okay, those IDs are going to be quite ugly, but well. Oh boy. We don't need a key, we don't need a name. Type text is fine, we don't need a rel. We are going to need a class, we don't need a placeholder, we don't need required, we don't need callbacks, we do need a value. And this is going to say subject, that most likely is already a key like that. Let's just check real quick. Subject, there is, awesome. So this is going to be d.subject. And then we're going to copy that twice. For the recipient, let's see if we have that already. We have that in my requests and in the generator. Cool. Recipient, and what's the data thingy called? Email. And finally we need the body. I'm not sure if we have a body translation. Nah, we don't. Okay. So let's call that. Let's just call it text. I don't think body is a generally understood term in this this context. This isn't going to be an input, this is going to be a text area. So what am I pressing all the time? Not sure. And for the text area, of course, we don't have a value, but rather we have the value inside the tag. So let's wait. Okay. That is a first start. That is not a text area though. So let's see what's going on here. Yeah, okay, so this isn't actually compiled yet. Annoyingly enough. Okay, that's a lot better. For some reason. Right. Oh yeah. I call that body. So I just remembered that we are already URL encoding our subject and body here, which is an issue. Oh, okay, maybe we can cheat. There probably is a decode URI component. There is, so we can just call that. That isn't exactly the nicest implementation, but considering we do need the encoded version for most of those handlers, I think it's fair to pass those in instead of having the handlers decode our encode the values themselves. So let's do. Let's do that. And it's complaining is not defined. Oh yeah. Because JavaScript is following different capitalization rules from what we do. That's fine. Not a big fan of it, but so well, what you gonna do? Okay. And interestingly enough, oh, of course there isn't a recipient because I haven't set one, so that's fine. Actually, what we can do is we can only show this if there is a recipient. I think that makes sense. Not quite compiled yet. Well, that's working fine already. We probably want a couple more lines here. What's the attribute? Let's see. Is it lines? The typo there, and of course that completely confuses the MDN search. That's fine. Not calls. Rows. Okay. So how many rows do we want to show? Let's see, the default seems to be like 3. We do have a fair bit of space, so let's go with 10 maybe. You can see our filtering of the email thing has worked. That's great. Rows is 10. And that is most likely going to work. In the meantime, we can see if an email is going to work. Yes, it is. Awesome. Those are the values we are expecting here. Cool. So let's once again wait for it to compile. Actually, I was originally thinking that we would have to do quite a bit of design work, but actually even this very basic state looks totally fine to me. The only thing we might want to do is if you click on those, we might want to select the whole text to make copying easier. How do we want to do that? The thing is, I'm not a fan of websites that auto-select everything and then don't let you do your own selection. So if we were to only do an on-click callback that selects the whole text, you couldn't go ahead and select a specific portion if you wanted to do that for whatever reason. I mean, in this case, it probably isn't all that interesting. Oh yeah, what we also want to do is we want to make those read-only, because there really is no point in changing this text here. It isn't going to be reflected in the I think that should be enough the actual generator state, so it would be confusing to allow that and then not do anything. Oh no. Oh, that is so unfair. By a single character. Ugh, look at that. That's horrible. Ugh. Oh well. What can we do? That's the price you pay for a code formatter with a fixed line length. I guess what we could do can we check if there is a selection and then okay. So apparently, that's interesting. Let's experiment with that a little. What's the idea again? What's the idea? Oh, come on. Oh, seriously. That is your fault, Firefox. Oh, documented selection. Okay, so okay. Yeah, that makes sense. If I place my cursor like that. Okay, now apparently selecting is broken. And if I were to do that instead, yeah, that does make sense. If I don't have anything selected, what happens now? Okay, so my selection remains. That's interesting. So what were to happen if we were to look at the other one? I don't think I've clicked into that yet, or have I? Let's see. Okay, apparently I have, so let's just reload. Let's not click anywhere. And do that again. Okay, so now it's 0. So what we could do is only do the auto select if both the selections start and end. Yeah, selection start and end are both 0. Because in that case you haven't selected anything. And it seems sensible to... Okay, let's see if we can implement that. So... input click, we're giving an event, and we want to have the target. Let's be lazy and save some characters. Target when target.selection start not equal to 0 or target.selection end not equal to 0, we want to return. Otherwise, element.select. Oh, that's really cool. This little helper thingy. Awesome. Otherwise, we want to do target.select. I'm kind of regretting this variable right now because we really don't need that. The code is very simple. So let's not do that, and now all we need to do is introduce that as our one-click handler. And we didn't check if the read-only works. I'm actually thinking it might not have, because we may have to actually pass through. So let's remember to check that. No, actually doesn't seem to be the case, so let's go. Yeah, okay, read only does work. Okay, cool. So, okay, well, hasn't worked at all. Maybe we're still compiling, or maybe I'm just stupid. Oh yeah, that has to be that. We don't press that button again. Ew. Okay, what is going on here? We don't want to OR those, or we don't want to bitwise OR those, or whatever operator might be doing. Come on. That's what I want to do. And I'm going to be audacious and not implement a console log. I'm going to say this is going to work now. Yeah. Okay, it does work here. Oh. Now it of course only works on the first try. Or maybe not at all. Okay, so let us actually implement some logging. I keep pressing buttons I don't want to press. So let's log the selection start and end so we can see what is actually going on here. Okay, we don't seem to be getting called. That is most curious. Oh, okay. I was once again too quick. Okay, so of course. Okay. The second I click into that, my position isn't going to be 0 anymore. That is a very, very fair point. Okay, but if I click not on the text, it does work. Okay, that is less than ideal. How can we... Okay, I guess what we can do is instead say if they are not equal, so what that means is we can do a selection like that, but we can't select a single character, but that doesn't work anyway because we're in the read-only input, so that's fine. And I feel like... Okay, so now we can't deselect. So what we need to do now is there an unselect? Okay, that is a very good point. We should also call focus. So let's remember to do that. Okay, and we want to do selection range apparently. And with the start and end position. Select backwards, interesting. And yes, so we probably want to select 0, 0 in that case. So if that is the case, now we don't want to return, but we want to instead do target.set, what was it called? Set selection range. This is that. We want to set it to 0, 0, I believe. That's exciting. No, it hasn't compiled yet, or our code is faulty. Either of those. Hasn't compiled yet. Well, our code may still be faulty. It apparently is. Okay, so we can see we should... Oh no. What am I doing here? If they are not equal... I've got this backwards, don't I? If they are equal, I want to unselect. Oh no, actually. They are not equal. No, well, that's not right. They are equal. Okay, yeah. This is a little more complicated than I want it to be, because we want to differentiate between if they are not equal. No, if they are not equal, we do have selection. So alright. But if I click, yeah, if I click, I'm making a new selection. So really what I want to check is what the selection was before I clicked. So before the event, and I don't think we can actually access that. Yeah, we'll never hit. Oh, actually. Okay, so there is some buggy way to trigger our case, but I'm not a fan of that. I guess we could save some state on whether we've already done the select all. Is this so bad if we select everything? Again, personally, I'm really not a fan of that. But I guess in this particular case, I mean, it is annoying if you only want to copy a certain part of the selection. Yeah, I'm really not a big fan of that. So I guess we have three options. Option one is we ignore that and just say whatever, most users are going to want to select everything. Or we say nope, we want the user to be in control and select whatever they want, so we don't do the auto select. Or a third option, we do some more thinking on how we could implement this in an ideal way that covers both those use cases. Now I'm obviously leaning towards option number 3, but I'm not sure how we would implement that. And of course that doesn't make for a great video if I'm just sitting here thinking. Okay, so what do we want to happen? On the first click we want to select. Yeah, maybe that's what we want. That's what we'll do. It is a little annoying that we'll have to save some state for that. Because we can't really do. We can't just introduce a static variable here. Because we have 3 inputs and we need to save this state individually for them. Does our dropdown even have a state? Like an actual React state? It doesn't. Of course it doesn't. Ooh, I really don't want to have to introduce a state now. I didn't have one before. I mean, we can do something terrible. The name should already tell you that it's an awful idea. Oh yeah, and we also need to, oh boy. Now we also need to, or actually we can go by the event or target.id should work, shouldn't it? So if we do document get element by ID, do we have header ID? No, we don't. Logo. I'm just looking for some kind of video element. This should have an ID property that gives us the ID. Yeah. Okay. So we can. I'm really hating myself for what's happening right now. So let's just try this, and if I decide that I absolutely detest the implementation, we can still scrap it. Let's just see if this works at all. What's the last one called? Body. So, oh, we don't want static here. Okay. Didn't we use static somewhere? Oops. Those are class properties and functions. I don't care about those. Could have sworn we saw something like that earlier, didn't we? Or am I making stuff up now? No, I'm not. Ah, okay, so that is a class property. That's fine. Yeah, that's maybe even a little less gross. Not a lot, but a little. Oh, they are not even on the... Oh boy. Okay. Oh boy. Oh, can we have that here? I mean, I guess we could have a we could have a var here. That would work, but I don't like that, so let's have that as a static property on the... Oh no, we really don't want that to be a static property. No, that's bullshit. Okay, sorry. Yeah, we need state. I'm afraid we do. Constructor should get the props. Where did that error come from? And now the problem becomes these handlers aren't declared in our class. They are at the root level, so we don't have access to this. So we would need to pass that. This is getting more horrible by the second. So what we would have to do, and I'm deliberately saying would have to, because I really don't want to do that. We would have to... No. Okay. Or actually, if I... Do I have this? I'm not even sure. Let's check that. down because I'm not used to typing on a laptop keyboard. That's fine. I don't think we ever did this. But to be honest, the scoping of this in JavaScript is quite confusing. And I'm not sure. So, let's check. We don't. Yeah, so we'd have to pass that here. Where is here? Here is here. The onClick would have to get this. We would have to accept that, and we would have to call it something else like that. And then, where's my logging? We should have a state here. Oh boy, this is terrible. I mean, the other alternative would be setting a data attribute on the element, but that's even worse, so we're not going to do that. Yeah, okay, so now we get the state. I mean, I feel dirty doing it that way. I really do. Again, let's implement it and see what happens. We can always change our mind later. So if it has been auto-selected, we want to return. Otherwise, and let's simplify code a little bit here. Or actually, we don't even need to do that anymore. If this is the first time, we always want to select and focus. Otherwise, we don't want to do anything. Yeah. Oh, and of course, we need to set state. So this actually does anything. That should be the compilation from the first step, so from the first save, so yeah, we're not expecting anything different. It's always going to select because we never set that state, so let's wait for changes to be compiled. It really is quite ridiculous how long this takes, but well. Yeah, okay, so that now does exactly what we expected to. I guess it would be even nicer if it didn't only work the first time around, but every time you unfocus the element. So I guess this is an idea. Can we check if the element is focused? We probably can. Documented active element. Uh, yeah, so document dot active element is our body. If I click in here, it's our drop down. If I unfocus, it's the body again. So yeah, that's what I want to do. Oh no, it really isn't. Oh yes, it is. Okay. Sorry, this is a little confusing. If document.active element dot id is equal to my id, I want to return. Otherwise, not anymore, hopefully. I want to do the selection. That seems like a good idea. Yeah, that seems like a simple solution that doesn't require our stupid state stuff, and which is even better from a UX perspective. So if this is working the way I think it should, this is definitely the best solution so far. Maybe even the best solution possible, who knows. So, I'm excited, let's see. Click. Okay, nothing's happening. Crap. Why isn't this working? So let's do some logging. Oh, of course. Oh, this is the same problem. Wait, is this the same problem? Yeah, the second I click on the element, I'm focusing it. So in our handler, yeah, this is always going to be true, isn't it? Of course. Crap. Unless, maybe if I were to, is it e.prevent default? Yeah, or target. No, it's just on the element, on the event, isn't it? Maybe that could work. Maybe the focus only happens if the event is actually executed. Let's see. Maybe we can look this up more quickly than our compiler. Doesn't say a lot. Okay. Anyway. Okay, no, that doesn't work. So just to confirm my suspicion, the active element and the tag, let's lock that. Or maybe let's do it that way. This probably isn't a good idea anyway, because is it? I don't know. So what we'll probably have to do is remember our active element somewhere and only update that after we've executed that check. Yeah. That was to be expected, unfortunately. So we want to check if the previous active element is me. In that case, I want to return. And I don't need to update, but if it was not me, I do need to update that to me. Okay, that should work. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. I mean, it is a little gross to have that pseudo global, or file global anyway, previous active element here, but the good thing is that Babel or Webpack, not quite sure, is going to hide that from us and not export it to the Windows scope, I'm pretty sure, yeah. Okay, so that's not, it's not great, but it's not horrible. Yeah, that is the exact behavior we wanted. Yeah, okay, I'm reasonably happy with that. Not too stoked, we have to remember that. But that's not the end of the world either, so. And I don't think I can come up with a simpler solution on that. Probably not, no. So let's leave a comment here. We only want to select everything in the copy manually input if they aren't yet focused. Or is it focused? Not sure. That looks better. Let's check that. Apparently not the only problem with that problem. The only person with that problem. Okay, single is preferred. As you can see from my previous searches here. Oh, that's actually the one I did a second ago. Okay. So we only want to select everything in the copy manually inputs if they aren't yet focused. Otherwise, that way the user can still make an individual selection if they prefer. However, the event we get in the onClick handler means that the focus has already been changed to what the element user clicked on. So we need to remember the previous one for that check to make any sense at all. Okay, I think I'm happy with that actually. I mean, there isn't anything actually compiling right now, so we can just work on that. We can just do our testing. Here you can commit the subject, recipient, and text of your generated email manually. Subject text, if I were to actually have an email. Okay, now the compilation is finished, that's fine. Let's, BBC is fine. Let's send the request to the BBC, specify our email here, john@mymail.com.org, street, some place, some country, and we want to copy the text manually. That is the correct subject, that is the correct recipient. I can do manual selection in those, so just auto select on first click though. Yep, that's the correct body. Awesome. And if I were to change my name to John Doe, apparently that is reflected correctly. If I were to change the company, sure, why not? Yeah, that works just fine. I can dismiss the modal, or I can OK the modal. That all works exactly the way I would expect it to. And that actually doesn't look too bad. Cool. So, let's just quickly check. Do I have? I don't. That's fine. Let's just quickly check which translations we need to implement in German. So that's this one. That one's in the generator context. Down here. And finally, cool. And we'll need to check that after it's done compiling. We can already start closing all those tabs we don't need anymore. Come on. Yep. Not done yet. There we go. Text for Handkopieren. Oh. I forgot the body. Yep. That is a very good point. Where did I put that? I put that right there. Not that it matters, but you know. Okay, in the meantime, let's check the recipient. Also works, cool. Awesome. So, let's do a final pass. did. We implemented imported modal, of course. We have our pseudo state with a comment explaining that. We have a new handler, and we don't need to check that anymore. Yes. SESLint is helpfully noting we don't need that, and we do need that. I'm feeling really good about removing all this awful code, and we don't need that. Let's see that again. So our onClick just gets the data. We have a dismiss callback. Actually, that callback, we can simplify that a little. That can just be like that. Exactly. And then we have this onClick function. We have a modal. That all seems reasonable. Oh, we don't. Do we need the display table? I don't think we do. I don't think we need this style at all, actually. So let's get rid of that. Not sure why the data controls need that, but anyway. While that is loading, we can continue with a review. Or not actual review, but just sanity check. Yes. Yeah, we only execute that if we have a link. And if we have an onClick, we execute that. And the onSuccess is still called in any case. We have our translations. And that's it. So, still works just fine. Still looks just fine. Oops. Let's do that. Yep. Cool. So, now we can commit that. Apparently some images need to be minified, go figure. Oh no, we're doing the Hugo thing again. I've actually submitted a PR already to stop that behavior, because that is just terrible. So, oh, apparently my editor is set to win. So let's see. Yeah, that's what I actually want to do. Let me just ignore those resources for now. Fixes 289. Yeah, I think that's good enough of a commit message. Oh, I'm not actually on the branch. Whoops. Let's fix that. Fixes 289. What did I say? So let's see how long this has been going on. Hour and 50. I would want to write a test for that. Yeah, I guess we can do that right quick. So let's just check the documentation, because I tend to forget as well. Let's see if we have the necessary prerequisites on this computer. If we don't, I'm not going to. Okay, we do. So I guess we are going to implement those tests. We don't need that. Yeah, on Cypress open. It's not actually that hard. I just don't write tests too often, so I guess that's why I don't remember. While that is loading, we can close all those tabs. Cypress, fixtures, no, not fixtures, integration. I guess that's a use case test. And we'll work off the wizard test, because that's the only real use case test we have right now. Oops. Do we not have any kit tests for the mail to drop down right now? Well, that is unfortunate, but I don't want to implement all of that right now, so we'll just implement a test for so use case 1, copying the text of the email elements manually. Okay, so we want to go to the generator. That actually doesn't matter. We want to select a company, or do we? No, we don't actually need to do that. We can just set an email. So let's go back to the English side, because the tests are all on the English side. And let's first of all make sure we have selected email as the transport medium. That is the default right now, but I mean, I guess in theory that might change, so we want to make sure. And then we want to enter an email. So that is, does have an ID, that's nice. Type, I believe, yeah. Data production at acme.com, whatever. And run. I want to find the send email button. I don't think there's a hover in Cypress yet. I believe that is an open issue, so we do click. I hope that works. If that clicks, hopefully we should find a copy text manually that we can click. Manually. Let's see what that does. So we should have a mail to drop down test. Okay, the test passed, but interestingly enough, the modal didn't trigger. So let's do that again. Okay, so the click doesn't actually open the drop down, which is unfortunate. Maybe we can do like focus or something. There is a focus, let's see. Didn't I save? I did save, so I think okay. And that didn't work either. I believe I had a problem like that recently with this one. Yeah. So what did we do? Okay, so that's interesting. So I guess let's do that. Interesting. So we did click though, so let's see. So what we're doing is we are waiting for the modal to be shown. Okay, that does actually make sense. Why.modal? I don't think that should be a modal. That's just our drop-down container. And so I guess what's happening, let me just confirm that. Okay, no, that doesn't work. Why doesn't that work? Let's see. Maybe we need to do the same trick again. But the drop-down really isn't invisible. So why is this passing? Clearly the drop-down isn't visible. Let's see what's the other test called? Send email first. If that works. I mean, it should. Oh, okay, so that. Okay, now I know why we have a .modal there, because there's actually we have the send email first button in the modal. Okay, interesting. But why doesn't clicking our copy data? I mean, we are finding that element, right? If we were to pass the wrong text, this should fail, right? Yeah. See, now we are seeing the text. So maybe, okay. Maybe we want to do that. Who knows? I don't, unfortunately. Nope. interestingly enough, before clicking that button, so if we were to not do that, the modal is actually opened. So the problem, I'm guessing, is that as soon as we click here, send email loses its focus and is thus hidden again, because our drop-down implementation, I believe, is just based on the hover. But if we are clicking that button, even if it's hidden, it should still open the modal, shouldn't it? I thought so anyway. Yeah, we're not actually clicking that here, we're just checking the href, which unfortunately we can't do in this particular case, because we do need to trigger the modal. So the question is, let's just remove that, because we don't need that anymore. The question is, isn't the modal triggering because of some problem in our test code? Or maybe it isn't loaded yet at the moment we're clicking it, but my understanding is that the click should really wait until the element can be clicked. So let's look at the docs. Why are you? That is curious. Anyway. So yeah, we could pass force, but that would do the exact opposite of what we want to do, because we do want to wait for an actionable state. But maybe there's some weird behavior going on. Okay, there is. So I guess the drop-down being hidden again somehow still allows our click to pass in Cypress, but not actually trigger. I have no clue why that is. But I mean, it does work, so we're not going to complain. Instead, we're just going to check that we have a modal, and the modal contains this text. I think we need to check all of that. Here you can copy, should be fine. So that's visible now. So what do we do next? We check those three elements. Why are we typing ETAP protection? Probably also some weird timing thingy. Oh well. What were our elements called again? There we go. So we need to get the subject, and that should contain request to access. Oh, that opened in that Firefox window has a VS Code icon. That's curious. Anyway, the recipient should contain acme.com, and what can we check here? I mean, it should definitely contain it too. See, now I'm very happy about the cases we built in, so I can actually do an individual selection. That's why I always hate those that force you to select everything, and then you need to open an editor and select if you want to select only a part. So really happy we implemented that. And I also, okay, so let's just see if that passes. It really should. It does. Oh no, it doesn't actually. Why doesn't it? Oh, because that's not, it doesn't contain that, its value contains that. Yeah, that is a very good point. And now I think we just do, well, okay. I would have done value, and the text area should actually contain it, so, nope. Still not. Let us search that. Cypress input contains. Yeah, okay, we can. Yeah, that's a good point. We should probably do should contain like that, right? Because the contains, let's check that, is only for HTML and yeah, for DOM elements. Okay, so that's not what we want to do, even though it does read like a proper English sentence. Well, that is a bit of a pitfall here. That's fine, nothing we can't deal with. Now val is failing, okay. Why is that? Or maybe it is actually what I wanted to do in the first place. Value, I was just confused by the autocomplete. Yep. Okay, so let's see. Contains text, maybe? Oh boy. It is smart enough, but we're not getting the results we want, or do we? Okay, that's exactly what I wanted. Should have value, but I don't want to have value, I want to contain value. Can we do that? Should contain value. That's nice. Okay, one more try. it doesn't work for the text area because I think I was. Let's see if the should works. I don't think it does. I don't think it's gonna, because the text area doesn't actually have a value, it just has, yeah. So how about should? Can you please autocomplete? No? Okay. So we'll just have to guess. Nope. Contain text. That sounds good. We want to get the inner text and make sure that contains something. No? Oh, come on. The text was empty. Really? Really now? What if I were to do... Oops. Huh. Okay. So... how do I get the value of a text area? I feel like I should know that. I definitely should know that. But I don't. No, we don't want to do J. So it is the value. So why isn't that working then? We try have contain value, which is an interesting identifier. Oh. Oh wow. Okay, I'm an idiot. I didn't specify the correct element. Yep. Okay, cool. Wow, that was stupid. You were probably screaming at me for the past, I don't know how long we've been spending on this. Sorry about that. Okay, so what I wanted to do is also make sure we are including... Oh, come on. Make sure we are including the data the user fills in. So that's not a nice idea, but that should work because we're not selecting a company. Yeah, that should work. Oh, actually, let's do that after this. And now we want to make sure we also contain Jane Doe. Yep, okay, cool. So now we just need to click OK and make sure the drop down is Gonski. It's capitalized like that, right? Yes. Click. And wait, I can. Okay, but so dot get middle should not be visible. Cool. I think that tests everything we're interested in. I mean, we could check if be a bit read-only. Let's see if we can do that. Probably has error. Oh boy. What is this actually doing? Okay, let's just see if it's unfortunate. It should have error read. Does that work? Okay, the chaining doesn't work. That's fine. But that does, doesn't it? It does. So that does make our code a little less nice, but that's fine. I mean, it's not fine, but it's okay. Yes. Let me just think if we can implement some kind of detection for our selection thing. Oh, nah, I don't think that's necessary. Okay, cool. So, let's run that one last time. Yep, very cool. Close Cypress. Do another quick git diff. Okay, it's only that file, so that's fine. Yes. Yes. We select email, we type an address, we type name, we click some email. We expect the drop down to be there, we click the button. Okay, so this is not necessary, but we can just only costs like a millisecond, so that's fine. Yeah, you can copy, it should be visible, they should all be read-only, they should contain their respective values, and yeah, cool. What was it? 289, I believe. Yes. That. And we can open a pull request. Don't need a description. And that is a feature. Cool. Okay, that took a while, but we're done now. So, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this first little experiment. of me recording myself hacking on datarequests.org. Do let me know what you thought, and see you next time. Bye!